Hey guys, what's up? Jehovah's here, and today I'm going to be showing you how I do my sugarcane farms in my survival worlds. This is a build that, it's a little bit more expensive than it needs to be. I think it's a little bit more convoluted than it has to be, but it does a really good job of getting you all the resources you need, and by the time we're done with it, it's basically going to be creative mode. You literally push a button and get all the sugarcane you could ever want. So stick around if you dig that, and we'll see how it goes. There's also a good handful of points along this build where I'm going to show you how you can modify a little bit to be a little bit less expensive and a little bit more accessible to your early game stuff. So the first thing you're going to do is lay down 8 straight blocks of dirt. This is going to be where your sugarcane goes. So 1, and then go ahead and leave a 1 block gap and put another row right beside it. Now this is going to be where you plant your sugarcane. So at the end here, go ahead and cap off with 3 solid blocks. It can be anything you want. And then put a water bucket in the middle. This is going to be what serves as the water you plant your sugarcane next to, and it's also going to be what collects up your drops. So make sure that you have a nice, clean 8 long block gap, and it should stop right at the edge, just like this. Once you have that, punch out these 3 blocks here. Go ahead and put a double chest down in these 2. Come over here and shift click into the back of that chest so that the hopper runs into it. Run a quick test to make sure it's setting up right. Flows down to the water, into the hopper, comes into the chest. So we're doing what we want. Last, put a couple solid blocks here just to cap off the end and make sure that no sugarcane accidentally squeaks through here. Next step is going to be to place up the pistons. Go ahead to the last row of solid blocks that you made here, skip 1, go up 3, and then just drag that all the way across. Go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And again, this is one of those places where you can make this build a little bit less expensive on yourself, but also a little bit less efficient. If you just want to do this on one side, that's also an option. You cut all your materials in half. So if you're struggling for materials, if you're really early game, that's definitely an option for you. Otherwise, go ahead and put pistons all along here, except for this last one. So 8 pistons total. And the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, here's a place where you can make it a little bit cheaper, but a little bit less efficient if you want to. I like to put a second row of pistons on top here because what ends up happening is the third block of the sugarcane won't get punched out into the water stream if you only have 1 row of pistons. It'll punch out that second block into the stream, but the third block of the sugarcane tends to just fall straight down and nothing much happens with it. So in order to circumvent that, I like to add a second layer of pistons. But you also effectively double your expensiveness. You basically double your resources because you're putting twice as many pistons in. So it just matters if you have the resources and if it's worth it to you. To me personally, I like getting those extra sugarcane, so I like putting them in. But either way, make sure that you leave this top gap here. It can be on any of these if you want to leave them open. If for some reason you want to leave that one open, it's fine. That's just going to be where our observer goes, and that's just eventually going to automatically punch all these out. So now, go ahead and break these 3 blocks here on each side. You don't need them anymore. But keep that row in the middle. The next thing we're going to do is lay some redstone down. We're just going to run it all along the top here in the back of all of these pistons. And make sure you get this one with the gap as well, because our observer is going to go there, and that's what's going to trigger all this redstone. So then, go ahead and grab an observer, swing it over here, and make sure that that red dot is pointing towards this redstone. That arrow is going towards the redstone. Same thing over here. Now we're getting pretty close to having this thing all the way done. A lot of times what I like to do is also build a little bit of a glass wall right here with glass panes, because it helps make it so that they just fall into the water stream a little bit more controlled, a little bit more consistently. Otherwise, they have a tendency to just launch all the way to the other side, and like a sugarcane on this side will just launch all the way over here and just rest on that dirt and never get collected. But if you can afford it, putting a row of glass right here will make it so it falls straight down every time, no matter what. So now we're getting pretty close to finish here. Just for the appearance of it, I like to seal this wall up here as well. The only time you're going to lose a little bit of sugarcane is on these back ends because of that, like I was telling you, where the third one doesn't always come through. But we can see that I collected it up, no problem. If you want to end your build here, you can definitely do that. Just go ahead and seal these in with some solid blocks. And that's your farm completed. If you just want to leave it here, you can definitely do that. It'll run in the background as long as you're in the ticking area. The sugarcane will just grow up naturally on its own. It'll naturally hit that observer and all fall into here. So if you want to stop the build here, you can absolutely do that. However, if you want to juice this up a little bit, keep on watching, because we can basically turn this as close as you'll get to creative mode in survival mode. So I'm going to punch out these sugarcane real quick and show you kind of the part 2 here. So there's not a lot to the second part here. For the most part, it's really just adding in some dispensers so that we can bone meal these and grow them automatically if we want to. So go ahead and grab some dispensers and place a temporary row of blocks right underneath the redstone line that you made earlier. Go here. It might be easier to chop off your water source as well, so you can do this part a little bit easier. But just fill in the dispensers on all the rows here, just like you did with the pistons. And then, of course, same thing on the other side. And now you should have something that looks just about like this. And I'm sure you can see where we're going from this, but go ahead and punch out those temp blocks. Put solid blocks underneath the dispensers here. Grab some repeaters. Make it so 8 repeaters go into these solid blocks right below the dispensers. Be really careful here that you don't put the repeaters into the dispensers themselves, because otherwise it'll activate the dispenser as a solid block. It'll power it, which will also activate all this second row of pistons, or the first row of pistons, excuse me. So make sure that you have the repeaters going into a solid block underneath the dispensers. Then again, add your redstone line, and this can just hook up to a button. And then you can also hook your pistons up to a button as well. If you want to be able to punch them out manually, that's absolutely an option. So now, the next step is to replace the water, since we took that out when we were replacing the dispensers. Come back here, and then again, I'm going to plant some sugarcane and kind of show you how it works. And of course, I'm just doing it on the right side for now, but of course, if you want to duplicate it on the other side, you can. That's another one of those points where you can make it just a little bit more efficient or less efficient if you want. If you happen to only have the resources for a handful of repeaters, you can just have a passive side and a side that you just make active. But either way, if you come in through here and fill all this up with bone meal, and then, since we have the observer hooked up, we can just come over here, hit our button, the sugarcane grows, it punches out, and then gets collected up automatically for us. We have, let's see, what is that? 8 times 2, 16. We have 16 sugarcane at the push of a button anytime we want it. 16. 32. All the sugarcane we'll ever need. Like I said, the beauty of this is that you can make it as active or passive as you want. It's going to run in the background the entire time until you want to interact with it. And so it'll just slowly collect up sugarcane in the background all along. And then when you want more, make more. It's pretty easy. Alright guys, that's just about it for this tutorial. I hope you dug it. There's not a lot to it, but keep an eye out for some new tutorials coming out. I'm planning on doing another one of the Let's Plays pretty soon here. We started building up the mine shaft and I started sealing in some of that red brick path, and so it's starting to look pretty good. Make sure you stick around if you dig what you're seeing, because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff like this. I'll see you guys later.